Okay. Okay, fine. That's good. There are more people coming up. That's nice. All right, so I'll just continue. Like I said, this is AI-powered chatbot without programming. And this is understandable because most of us are from different backgrounds. So we are looking at chatbots today. What are chatbots? What do we understand as chatbots when we say we are dealing with chatbots? But this time around, our focus will be mainly on AI-powered chatbots. But first of all, okay, all right, let me try sharing the screen. Don't know why this is not moving. All right, so let's try and see. I hope you can all see my screen. I hope you can all see my screen. Okay, I'll just have to continue. If you cannot see my screen, just type and then we'll proceed because this is 7 minutes in. All right. Computer programs that simulate human conversation, written or spoken. You will all agree with me that there's almost no website you go into that you don't see chatbots. Most times they ask you questions like, do you have any issue? Do you want us to, converse? Do you have questions I can answer? And then when you try to answer or try to ask questions, you have a conversation with them and you realize that you're talking to a bot. These are actually computer programs, and some of them come with voice, and some of them is just text. And then you have a complete conversation. They can answer you and so forth and so forth. But this time around, in today's world, we're having chatbots that are beginning to integrate natural language processing to understand questions. They begin to understand questions, they describe a problem, and they will even make suggestions for you. They can clarify, and they can even provide a response or provide an idea or whatever. So you are having chatbots that are becoming more intelligent because there's the integration of conversational AI features in the chatbots of today. Now, when we decide that, all right, let us evolve. Let us begin to evolve. If you look at the chatbot, we'll have to go down memory lane. We'll try and see the history. And in the 1960s, a computer scientist at MIT was credited for creating ELIZA, the first chatbot. How many of us remember ELIZA? This is our first chatbot that we had. And since the creation of this simple chatbot, we have different chatbots coming up from there, just trying to adopt the technology, and it keeps evolving. There are so many chatbots. In fact, the first generation of chatbots, Eliza and Alice, and they were created and later improved. Okay, if we dwell, since we all know Eliza, most of us have had, conversations with this particular chatbot. If we look at Alice, which actually stands for Artificial Linguistic Computer Entity. And this was created way back in 1995 and by one Dr. Wallace, Dr. Richard Wallace. And this basic chatbot used recognition capabilities to produce scripted responses for specific keywords. This chatbot, they all serve as the building block for modern chatbots and AI-powered chatbots that we can see today. Following up from there, there was another set of chatbots coming out during the 2010s to the 2020s. And this is termed as the second generation of conversational chatbots. This bot was advanced with natural language processing and machine learning processing to understand human language and process voice commands. Now, there is an addition going on here, and that is AI. Recently, you have started seeing AI features in chatbots, and then sometimes we used to wonder, how did they manage to understand us? How did they manage to understand most of the things that we try to say using very good recommender systems? Then generative AI bots, that's from the 2021 to 2023, generational AI bots like ChatGPT, Gemini were trained on massive data sets, which of course most of us already know as long as you are in this course. And then the use of transformers and LLMs, large language models. These bots generated brand new contextual relevant outputs to all their inputs. And what do we have presently? We have chatbots across the board that have become far more sophisticated and specialized in their functionality. Today's bots leverage advanced AI capabilities to deliver more nuanced, personalized interactions. And this shift has allowed them to become more targeted in their use cases, designed to handle specific tasks with greater precision and efficiency. What are we trying to say there? They are becoming more personalized. A chatbot converses with you as if they have already known you. That is because of the AI features that is being embedded in today's chatbot. And so we can now conveniently say that modern chatbots are designed to connect with customers without the need for human interference. The increase in mobile devices used and unique messaging channels utilizing customer service. Using advanced AI technology, chatbots have evolved from answering a limited number of, regular questions, questions that is anticipated, to understanding your sentiment and answering complex queries. How wonderful. And so you can see what we're going through. We have really evolved. We have really evolved. And this is really very interesting. I find this very, 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 very interesting as we proceed. What is wrong with this sharing, for goodness sake? Just hang on a bit, I'll share it again. And so here we are trying to see, how does chatbot works? How do we work? We have modern chatbots now that it looks as if you're talking to a relative when you discuss with them. How do they work? Now, follow me closely. They will prompt you to ask a question or describe a problem, to which it will either clarify what you have said or provide a response. Some of them are simple, responding to only the questions that you ask them, and some of them are actually sophisticated. And when we talk of the sophistication, we're actually talking of the AI-powered chatbots, because these are operating using very sophisticated large language models, and they have access to a lot of data that have been stored. And so they use this to be able to answer in a more sophisticated manner. And they use predefined conversation flows, natural language processing, like we said before, and machine learning to answer users' questions and give guidance. They do all this in real time and in different scenarios. Can't you see how powerful we are becoming? We are the ones actually designing this, and you see that our machine is learning at a very fast rate. By the way, during your practical classes, you'll be required to understand how to create these chatbots. It's a very interesting session. We'll get there when we get to the practical sessions. All right. Now, if you look at a typical chatbot architecture, let's look at a typical chatbot architecture. Now we have the user interface. What do we mean by the user interface? There's nobody in this AI class that does not understand that. We're going to be talking about user interface, NLP, the dialogue management, knowledge base, of course, and then we'll talk in depth about the integration layers. But let us look at the user interface. It's the front end of the chatbot, where users interact with the chatbot using text or voice. You will agree with me that we have all seen different user interfaces, beautiful user interfaces, beautiful front-end designs, engaging interfaces. And this is one typical aspect of the chatbot architecture. When you are trying to design a chatbot, you are trying to have an interface that will appeal to users that will be conversing with this chatbot. And like I said here, I said you use either text or voice. And it should be designed to be user-friendly. It should be designed to attract, users to come talk. I know most of us, when we see a chatbot, maybe you are navigating through a website, you see a chatbot and you're like, nah, I don't want to talk with you. Just go straight and let me look at or find what I'm trying to find from this website. But being that as it may, the user interface is actually one typical feature in the chatbot architecture. The next one is our NLP. Please, let me just be using NLP. This component processes the user's input to identify intent and extract relevant information. It's not just the language, but it's actually, while you are using this particular feature, it is extracting relevant information. And please take note of the word relevant. That is the kind of information that will align with your request, with your questions, or with your inquiry, to the extent that it can even suggest to you what you are thinking. It can just try to suggest, okay, I'm thinking this, I'm thinking that, and then this particular feature, this particular component of the chatbot architecture cannot be overlooked, especially when you are dealing with AI-powered chatbots. All right, next, we have our dialogue management. This particular component determines the chatbot's response based on users' input and the chatbot's goals. And we have our knowledge base, another component in the chatbot architecture. This one stores the chatbot's knowledge. It's like a memory. All this input, remember, all this data is stored in the chatbot knowledge, the database, and is used to generate responses. That's the essence of the storage. And finally, we have our integration layer. This integration layer is actually interacting actively with our application programming interface. That's our APIs, and it integrates the chatbot to external systems, different databases, and of course, our application programming interfaces. So when we look at the basic architecture of our chatbot, we are looking at, again, let's go through. We are looking at our user interfaces. We're looking at our natural language processing, the management of our dialogue, the knowledge base, which I term as our storage area, which is memory, which means there's some amount of memory taking place there. And then we have our knowledge base, and we also have our integration layer. All right. If you have any questions, you can please feel free to ask. Let me try and check our comments and see what we have here. Please, your screen is not showing. Oh, off and on, off and on. All right. So let me try and go off and come back again. This sharing. Okay. Can we see my screen now? Can you see my screen? All right, good. So the rest of us, can you see the screen? Oh my goodness, the thing is going off again. Oh. Okay, fine. Thank you. So we are seeing the screen now, and we can proceed. So like I was saying, for the chatbot architecture, we have 5 basic components. We talked about the user interface, the UI. Oh my God. Oh, don't worry. It's going to come up. It's going to come up, Mr. Hayat. Don't worry. It's off again. It's back. It's going off and on. Okay. We have the user interface. We have the natural language processing. We have the dialogue management components. And we also have the knowledge-based components and the integration layer. All right. So here, let us proceed. Let us continue so we can finish up in good time and take our questions. Integration with external systems. Remember, we talked about our integration layer. And so when we remember this part of the lecture, we are trying to see how chatbots work, And in knowing how chatbots work, we are trying to look at the components that make up our chatbots. And then we are also going to look at the integration with external systems to see the workings of the chatbot, to understand how it works. And then we are having here that it can integrate with external systems such as databases, such as application program, interfaces called our APIs, messaging platforms, and what is the essence of all these? To retrieve or send information. And just like we said earlier, just to put it in context, when we are dealing with AI-powered chatbots, we are looking at chatbots that can have conversations with you or relate with you in a more personal manner, which means there's some element of intelligence being embedded in our conversation and in all the integration that we'll be talking about. All right, let's look at some integration methods. We have three major ones that I put here. The one is the API integration. The application programming interface integration involves integrating the chatbot with external API to retrieve or send information. The next one is database integration. Here, you integrate with external databases, same to retrieve and send information. I hope you remember that when this process is going on, there is storage taking place, the machine is learning from the data that is collecting and is sending up-to-date messages. And most of them are personalized because we are talking about an AI-powered chatbot. And finally, we have our messaging platform integration. Integrating the chatbot with messaging platforms. Of course, we all know our messaging platforms. The most popular is our WhatsApp. We have our Facebook Messenger, and we use this to interact with users. And as we begin to grow, as we begin to evolve, we see that it's becoming more and more personalized. It's becoming more large language models. And this is how the chatbots work. This is really how it works. Hopefully, when most of us are able to use the practical opportunity, you begin to have an understanding of how far it can go. And let us take some examples to put us, in context. And these examples, let's take the first one. Said businesses can use chatbots to connect to a company's knowledge base. Remember the knowledge base we talked about? Allowing them to quickly and accurately answer FAQs, frequently asked questions. This is not new to any one of us. We have had to navigate sites, and we have seen the section where they are frequently asked questions. You are encouraged to go there before you start bombarding them with questions that have already been asked. And this is where your chatbot comes in. And they can use this to help them to handle that. If they have to attend to an individual, every individual, you can imagine how tedious that would be, especially if the traffic on that site is very high. Okay, somebody is saying I've gone far. No problem, you can ask questions, just flow. We will always go back and forth and see that everybody's on the same page. But I'm happy we can all see my slides. So the next example, enterprise chatbots can be used to collect customer data. Yeah. The collection of the data, the chatbot, while you are conversing with the chatbot, while the chatbot is asking you questions, prompting you to give some answers, is collecting your data. And is storing it, is learning from it. The machine is learning from your data so that the next time you're asking another set of questions is ready to give you more informed responses, and it will prompt you to even suggest more things, and from that conversation is collecting more and more data. And then the third one there says service desk chatbot can be used to maintain knowledge management. Knowledge management. Okay, for those of us that has just let's go back a bit. Remember when we were talking about the different components of the chatbot architecture, we talked about dialogue management, and then we talked about the knowledge base. Let me just take it verbatim. It determines, dialogue management determines the chatbot response based on the user's input and the chatbot goals. I would just really love for us to debate about the chatbot goals right now, but we'll talk about that later. And then we say knowledge base, it stores the chatbot's knowledge and information that is used to generate responses. So that is what we are saying here now. In this third example, they said chatbots can be used to maintain knowledge management. That whole process of dialogue management and knowledge base, all together, we are looking at knowledge management. That is why it can give you more sophisticated responses. It can ask you more personalized questions. And that's because of those features. And so let's take the next one. It said AI-powered chatbots can also anticipate. Am I too fast? I hope I'm not too fast for everyone. We are good, right? All right, so let me just continue. AI-powered chatbots can also anticipate customer needs, just like we have already discussed extensively, and it enables them to provide personalized recommendations or proactively message users about the problem. So just like we have already said. And finally, the final example I have here is that they integrate into back-end systems to seamlessly interact with customer database software and application programming interfaces to deliver hyper-personalized support. I hope that's all the, in fact, I just picked this as the very last example here in a nutshell, because I mean, that's the whole essence of chatbot, to deliver support. But this time around, because it's AI powered, you're having what we call hyper personalized support. Sometimes it can be scary. How did this chatbot know so much about me? How do you know what I'm thinking? But of course, if you have been following, you will see that it's actually learning from the data that you are imputing onto the chatbot. All right. I hope we are okay with those examples of how, we have seen how they work, and we have seen examples of their workings. And so let's continue. Now, we have here, let us quickly talk about the benefits. After we have seen how chatbots have evolved, what chatbots are, what we need to do with them, let us try and explore the kind of benefits that you get from chatbots. Like I said from the last slide and the last example here, I said that that they integrate with back-end systems, and they interact with customer databases, and they deliver what? Hyper-personalized support. Now, let us go in depth into the benefits. You need to know so that you will know why you are designing chatbots, why you are learning about AI-powered chatbots and what you can do with it, especially if it's not responding in the way that it is supposed to do. You know how to mitigate any anomaly that might come from it. This is important. Benefits of chatbot. The first one there is always on support. always on support. Customers expect immediate help, especially now. We are in this what some advanced people will call it microwave generation, where you want your food to be warmed in less than 1 minute. The impatience, you want to walk at record speed. And now when you go for support or you go and do any form of transaction, you want immediate help. You want to be able to do things fast. And so when you're deploying a chatbot across preferred channels, customers can get 24/7 support. It's not, you remember in those days that we have to wait, this reply to your request will be available, and some areas still do that, but not with this AI generation. No, we need 24/7 support, real time. And this is one of the major benefits of using a chatbot. And so the second one, the enhanced growth opportunities. Serves more customers at once and help agents to do more or less. As a result, teams can scale quickly and assist more customers consistently. The queue, you're jumping the queue. You don't want a queue. You don't want a situation whereby you have to attend to. Let us be fair and just say maybe 2 people at a time. And when you are finished attending to those 2, you wait for the next 2. No, you can have a whole lot of customers being attended to at the same time. And that is really, really, really powerful. So we don't have to wait one after the other. This is another great feature of the chatbots, especially the AI-powered ones. They can help us to enhance our growth opportunities. And then we can talk more, we can gist more, we can relate more, as far as there are things that are bothering us. And as far as our inquiries are concerned, just think about having a conversation with a human, which is very personal, yes. You can see how tiring the human can get when you start asking, maybe you're going back and forth, one and the same question, and you want deep explanation, and the human has a lot of people to attend to. How can that be smooth? If the person is super gifted and super patient, fine. But there's a limit to what a human can do as far as having conversations is concerned, especially when there are a lot of people to attend to. But with increased conversation feature of a chatbot, you can boost lead conversations. You can even nudge customers to act by presenting them with different images, forms, pick lists, beautiful drop-down lists we see these days, and then different messaging elements, just like we captured here. And so you have increased conversation. You are free to talk and to ask your questions. And if you have a chatbot that is really sophisticated, it can give you even replies that is in addition to the replies that you could normally get. And that is a very good one. That's a good benefit of using a chatbot. Next, we have improved personalization. I just finished talking about relating with a real human being. And this time around, you are relating with a chatbot, which is actually a machine. And like we said earlier, you begin to wonder, does this machine know me? Yes, it knows you, because you have fed it with so much of your data. It can interact with you in such a way that is more personalized. Excuse me. Chatbots connect with business systems to help agents capture customer details like the name, the issue type, the contact information, the preferences, the timings, all is captured. And you now have a more personalized and improved conversation with chatbots. And what is that pointing to? Your inquiries are okay, as in, as far as solutions are concerned. Your questions are answered and you're good. You're happy because the chatbot have done the work for you. Okay, another benefit, elevated roles. As chatbots automate simple tasks and handle complex ones. You know, when we talk of simple tasks, yes, there's automation coming here. In our next class, we are going to be looking at rule-based and AI-powered. We're going to be zeroing in on understanding what the rule-based ones are and what the AI-powered ones are. But here, this particular benefit says elevated roles. As chatbots automate simple tasks, when we talk simple tasks, and handle complex ones, agents and manager roles shift towards AI experts. Also, chatbots enable agents to focus time and energy on nuanced interactions. This is another very powerful benefit of using an AI-powered chatbot. And then we have here refined response consistency. This is a powerful one. This is really beautiful. And most of us that have had conversations with chatbots, we agree that they deliver identical or similar responses to related inquiries. All customers receive the same level of care. I think if we use our slang here, it doesn't look at face, no, they look face. I mean, the chatbot will relate with you professionally, regardless of who you are, as long as you need these inquiries, it does its work without sentiment. And they can also follow brand requirements and deliver answers in a consistent tone and voice. I'm sure a lot of us are happy with that because we've had experiences with customer service that can leave us either very, very hyped, happy, and or we'll just be tired and we don't want to go back to that establishment or company, or we don't want to do that business anymore. We don't want the inquiries anymore. But not so with chatbot. That's why this particular benefit is a big one, refined response consistency. And let me note here, just take note of the fact that when we say refined, it's not once refined, finally refined. No. As the conversation progresses, as you keep having interactions, as it keeps collecting your data, as it keeps storing your data, it just gets better. It just gets better. And then the consistency is maintained. It's improved and consistent, improved and consistent. This is a very powerful benefit of using your chatbot. And so when I ask you a question like, explain to me what you understand by refined response consistency, I would like you to have that at the back of your mind. We have two more here, and boosted customer engagement. Boosted customer engagement. They are quick. They don't keep you lagging or waiting. No, it's quick, personalized, round the clock support. So you can even chat with it midnight, first thing in the morning, 2 a.m. if you are awake. And they encourage customer engagement, deeper connections, and increased retention, just like we explained earlier. All right. Reduced costs. Automating routine customer inquiries and identifying where you can make operational improvements allows chatbot to resolve issues and make customer service more efficiency. Cost is reduced. Of course, there's no business or organization that won't find this benefit very interesting because your cost is reduced. It means more profit when you are using an AI-powered chatbot. Now, let's look at, I think this last one, enhanced customer satisfaction. When you're attended to promptly and you have good support, it doesn't waste your time or frustrate you, just like we explained earlier. What is that? You're satisfied. And you know, a satisfied customer is the customer that comes back time and again and again. And so you can see how powerful AI is and is helping us to make our businesses to be more efficient. And we are rounding off here saying that their ability to personalize responses and understand customer inquiries helps to improve interactions. So that's talking about our benefits, the benefits of using a chatbot. We are trying to get a kind of background. Is it background? I'll call it now. Okay, let me see. We're trying to lay a good foundation for understanding how to create our chatbots so that we know that this is what I should achieve. If you are creating a chatbot or you are trying to, design one or trying to use one or trying to modify one and you're not seeing efficiency, what are you doing? So that's the essence of learning about this the way we are. It doesn't have tick, 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 good, good, good all the time. There are some challenges that come with chatbots, AI-powered chatbots, rule-based chatbots. They have their challenges. And let us look at the first one: hallucinations. Recently we had a program and we're trying to use the AI to respond to some inquiries that could help us to fine-tune a process. And the prompt was a bit complex, and I think AI just got, I don't know whether I would say tired or just got confused and started giving us answers that even we, while we were looking at it, we were like, oh my God, what are you saying? It's like when you're talking to somebody and the person does not really know what to say. And instead of just keeping quiet, of course, the AI will not keep quiet. We now start to bring different suggestions that are just completely off the point. That's hallucination. When it says here that when AI recognizes a pattern but doesn't truly understand the information, and it begins to generate and present responses that are factually incorrect and sometimes completely fabricated, now enters trial and error mode. It's hallucinating. So we can have situations like that when we are relating with chatbots. So this, again, you should take note of, so that when you are designing your chatbots, what do? You make sure situations like this don't come up. And remember, we tried from the beginning of the course to make us understand that your data set should be robust enough. And we can never emphasize the fact that your AI needs to be fed with a lot of data. And I will say, just like I've always said, relevant data, so that it doesn't start to hallucinate. Chatbot hallucination. This is a major challenge of chatbots. Okay, I want to pause here and based on what we have been discussing, if anybody have any question, you can just put it down and we'll see whether we can go back to it or we can just proceed and handle those questions later, or you pencil it down. I don't know if we are okay with that. I'll just give you a minute. Let me catch my breath now. You can pencil it down or just type it on the comment. We can go back there and see it. Okay, so we can continue. Looks like we are following. Hopefully, we are good. All right. So let's. We talked about hallucinations. Next, security and privacy. Unregulated and poorly managed chatbot can be a security risk. There are instances where chatbots can begin to bring information and begin to converse in a vulgar manner or expose details that are not healthy for the organization or for the persons that are interacting with the chatbot. We have to take this into consideration. We have to make sure it is well regulated when you are designing your chatbots. It should be well regulated and it should be well managed. So this is key. And next, implementation timelines. We have here that deploying a chatbot can take time and resources. Yes, but it's better that some school of thought will say, oh, fine, it's okay for it to take a lot of time, but at the end of the day, you have a chatbot that is reliable. True, agreed. But at the same time, you must notice that it can take a lot of resources. You need a lot of manpower. You need a lot of equipment. You need a lot of software and so forth to be able to build a very good chatbot. So, well, that can be a challenge, but well, I personally believe that we should have something that is worthwhile, no matter what. So even if it's going to be taking a lot of time, let it be good. But it is also a challenge. I wish we could have one that doesn't have to take so much time and resources, but then those are the demands for having something good and reliable. And then next is training. Biased, outdated, and time-consuming training can make using chatbots problematic and difficult. Chatbots need thorough pre-training on billions of interactions and real conversation data to automatically detect client intent and respond as human agents would. So we have to mitigate the issue of bias. We have to know the kind of data we are training our bots with. It cannot be outdated. This can be very disappointing for a client. And then we have to train with a lot of interactions. We have to train our AI-powered chatbot with a lot of interactions so that it will have the semblance of human interaction. That cannot be overemphasized. We have said that over and again. That's as far as training is concerned. Remember, we are trying to talk about the challenges. We talked about the hallucination, security, privacy, implementation timelines, and then training. You want a chatbot that will not look too much like a machine. I think I would like it more if I have a chatbot that is not too official, like, oh my God, all right, I can't continue with this conversation. It's kind of discouraging. So our training should be on point. This is a challenge and we'll try our best to mitigate that. Okay, next, multilingual conversation flows. This one, different languages. Users need to be rich where they are in the language that's most comfortable for them. You need a chatbot that can easily serve customers in multiple languages. Yes, I hope you know that. You know, we had, there was a function we had recently, and the AI agent that we were using answered, but this was voice, by the way, and answered in English. And when he answered in English, AI, this is not hallucination, by the way, answered very, very well in a detailed pattern. And because of the audience, it was clear that some members of the audience that are not IT inclined might be off track and will not be able to understand a lot of, what the AI was saying. And the presenter did something super interesting, told the AI agent, the chatbot, the AI agent, is, advanced chatbot, now told it to say it in pidgin. And the agent switched it and said it in pidgin. And because of the audience, everybody clapped, everybody was happy, everybody could understand. You imagine, designing a chatbot like that can switch between languages depending on the user. And so multilingual conversation flows. Conversation should not have glitches, it should flow, and it should be able to capture multiple languages. This is a challenge that should be surmounted, and this would be beautiful. I would really like to be able to create, one like this and be able to understand features that can do this. This is really nice. And then the next one, I think we are getting to an end of all this. The next one is contextualized responses. Contextualized responses. Okay, this is a big one because when we say context, you are putting it in context. Let me just read what I wrote there. Basic and rule-based bots are unable to respond outside of scripted conversation. Their response can miss the point of a customer's inquiry. Context, putting it in context, what does the customer or the client or the user mean? In what context? Is it according? When we say context, I hope we all understand that you can be saying something in one context and meaning another to another person. But when you are using what I wrote, the rule-based bots, they use scripted conversations. When we remember from the beginning of the class, when we talk about, conversations that are rule-based, they are scripted. So they have straightforward responses. It doesn't dig deep. But when we have an AI-powered chatbot, we can have intelligence coming into play where you will be able to learn from the different layers. You have large language models, you can suggest, and then you can try to understand. That element of understanding comes into the conversation. And so you are responding in context. That's in the context in which the user is asking the question. So this can be a challenge if your AI is not designed with this in mind. So we have here contextualized responses. So I hope we understand. Let's cap with that. This is the time you ask me questions so that we can go back to any of the slides. For those of you that are just joining us, what have we been able to understand? And those of you that have written down questions, let's have the questions. So we'll use the remaining time we have to go back to any aspect of the lecture that was not understood or you missed, and then we'll be able to answer your questions. Please, the floor is open. Please, questions? Is it that we just understood everything, or I'm waiting for questions? Questions? Okay, let me just have a quick recap for those of you that just joined much later. So far, we talked about chatbots. We talked about what chatbots are, and we looked at them as they're actually computer programs. I hope we all understand what computer programs are. And they can be written or it can be spoken. And then we looked at the kind of chatbots that we have today. We said that they integrate conversational AI. That's why the chatbots you used to see in those days is quite different from the ones that you are seeing today. And we quickly went into the history of chatbots. Okay, so in the history, we looked at the kind of chatbots that we had in the 1960s, and it all started from MIT, ELIZA. And most of us have used ELIZA, and we know what it looks like, and that was how we all started this journey. And so many have been created over time. And so we looked at chatbots between the 1960s up on to the early 2000s, and we looked at Alice, which is actually artificial linguistic computer entity. The era of this kind of chatbots. We moved on to our 2010s to 2020, which we termed this era as the second generation, era of conversational chatbots. And this time around, you will notice that if you go down memory lane, I don't know whether most of you have used chatbots during those times, you will see that there's the use of advanced natural language processing and machine language processing. Thank you, Aisha. I'm just giving a recap of what we have done so far, so that those that came late can catch up, and those that are having any gray area, they can just go through and see where they can ask their questions. Okay, and so we looked at generative AI bots. Present day, this is what we're having. I mean, between 2021, ChatGPT started becoming popular in 2021 down to 2023. We all know ChatGPT, we all know Gemini, and these are generative AI bots. Let us draw attention to the fact that this class is actually called what? AI-powered chatbots without programming. Okay? And so present day, fast forward to present day, we can see that our chatbots are now having AI capabilities, which is wonderful. And we are using advanced AI technologies to be able to answer queries that are more complex, and you'll see a chatbot beginning to understand you in depth. And so we went further to understand how chatbots work. How do they work? And they work by prompting you to ask questions. They respond to your questions. And we said that some of them can be simple and some of them can be sophisticated. And of course, the simple ones are the rule-based ones, and then the sophisticated ones are the AI-powered ones. And these are quite very interesting, chatbot features. We also talked about our components, the components of our chatbot architecture. And there we discussed extensively our user interface, the natural language processing, the dialogue management and knowledge base. And finally, we looked at our integration AI, layers after you have put all these components together, you have to integrate it to the conversational agent. All right, in this integration, what do? We have our API integration, our programming interface integration, database integration, messaging platform integration. We have seen chatbot messaging platforms. You see the integration coming into play when we look at our Facebook Messenger. We give example of our WhatsApp and so many others that most of you can easily name. And we went further to see different examples. And we dwelt a little bit on the last example, which is making sure that there is the delivery of hyper-personalized support. And we emphasize the word support because why would you use a chatbot if it does not support you in any way? So we also talked about the benefits of using a chatbot, that we again emphasize our support, we emphasize the growth of opportunities, increased conversations, of course, improved personalization, elevation of roles, consistency. We find consistency, reduction of cost, and better engagement with customers, and which is leading us to good satisfaction, which is what we always want to achieve when we are using any form of AI tool. And then we looked at our challenges. We have seen different instances of AI hallucinations. We looked at security and privacy. We looked at implementation timelines. And we actually said that it's okay if our implementation timelines are appropriate, not too lengthy though, but the aim is to come out with a good chatbot that meets our needs and serves good purposes. We looked at language, where we talk about multilingual conversation flows, and we looked at conversations that should actually be in the right context. That is a recap of what we have done so far. So, in the absence of questions, somebody's looking for the attendance link. Good. So far, so good. I hope we are all okay. I'm not getting questions this morning. Is it so clear or it is not clear at all? So let's know. In the next lecture, we are going to be looking at rule-based chatbots, and we're also going to be looking at our AI-powered chatbot in depth. We're going to extray these two and see how we can benchmark them and see the differences and the ones that we can go for. Thank you so much for listening. Thank you for your being present. Hopefully, all right, thank you so much. Thank you. And we'll be able to meet in the practical class and introduce this in detail. Thank you.